Hello everyone and welcome to Cinderful Gaming. I hope you're all doing well, I hope you're all staying safe, and most of all, I hope you're all fighting that war against the grey. Today's video is a Black Library review. In today's video, we'll be taking a look at one of the many publications brought out by a Black Library and giving you our thoughts on the book, audio drama, whatever it happens to be. Now, I will say that we will try to keep this review to as spoiler free as possible, though there will obviously be points where we talk about things happening in the book. We will try to keep away from saying any of the major plot points, so you can go and read this book for yourself. We'll just give you our thoughts on whether or not we think it is something you may be interested in. So we'll use this video to instruct you on maybe is this sort of going to be a book that you would like to see. With that all said and out the way, let's get cracking on. Let's talk a little bit about the book that we have reviewed this time. In today's Black Library review, we're going to be checking out the Vincula Insurgency Gaunt's Ghost Dossier 1 by Dan Abnett. This was narrated by Toby Longworth on the audio version. As always, I like to listen to things on the audio version. I listen to them while I paint or while I do some other hobby. This was a relatively short listen. It was just over 6 hours long. Really enjoyable though. I always love Gaunt's Ghost. Gaunt is one of my favourite 40k characters by a long shot. Toby Longworth did a really good job at making a ton of different characters really recognisable with his voice acting in this. But with that said, let's get cracking on and get into the review proper. And so, setting the scene, in a respite between wars is where we capture the story and get Gaunt's Ghost meeting us. They're charged with establishing a lasting peace in a ruined border town of Vincula. They've sort of been shunted to the side after some of their heroic deeds earlier to this. Someone sort of not liking it, they were becoming the heroes of the story and sort of making sure they were put in a less glorious or lesser role that would lead to them being able to get less glory. And so the story takes place in the early years of the Gaunt's Ghost. This is actually sort of a filler story, taking back and giving us some history and some chatter on a bunch of the Gaunt's Ghosts, taking a very early time in the history of the Gaunt's Ghost. And so we have our newly appointed commander, Gaunt, Ibrahim Gaunt, and the ghosts there alongside him, the Tanith First and Only, who are now trying to make a lasting peace, effectively being a police force and making sure everything goes to plan on this planet. But really what they end up finding out is doing this sort of thing is just as dangerous as being on the actual front lines. Insurgency is rife. We're learning about all these different things, and they learn a lot about themselves throughout the story as well. But mostly this is Gaunt's Ghost fighting against insurgents, trying to keep the rebellion, keep the independence of these border towns and these border planets alive. And so, yeah, the book's purpose really, this gives us some additional information on Gaunt and the ghosts. Really sort of showing a lot of information, talking about Gaunt and why he sort of took up the role he did, talking about the ghosts, learning more about the Tanith fighters themselves, learning more about the First and Only, and also just really giving us this untold story, filling in some background for a couple of the characters that we know from the series and stuff like that, as well as giving us, some extra sort of stuff to chew into. I really enjoy this. I like when they go back, they expand upon the narrative of these characters. I remember not long ago I read the Sigismund novel, and that filled in a lot of holes in the heresy. In parts you knew Sigismund was involved in and told these stories from Sigismund's point of view. This is nice, once again, getting a little gap filler story for Gaunt and his ghosts. I really enjoyed this. And so we look into our main characters for the Gaunt's Ghost series for this particular book. Obviously, Colonel Ibrahim Gaunt, Colonel Commissar Ibrahim Gaunt, I should say, is front and center of the story, really coming to grips with being in command and learning how to work alongside the Tanith First and Only. We then have Elim Rawn, who is trying to pretty much bed this Adeptus Administratum xenophologist throughout the course of the story. And so what does change about these set of main characters in our story? And in all honesty, not an awful lot. We get to sort of see a bit more of these characters, we get to learn a bit more, but like I said, this is a story going back to early times of Gaunt Ghost, and there's not really a lot of character evolution inside it other than sort of seeing some of the bonds of friendship and camaraderie come together that we know for Gaunt's Ghosts. We don't really get an awful lot at massive character progression arcs, more the story progressing and learning about who these characters are rather than them actually changing as characters, which is still really cool. This is what you want in a prequel story. We already know where the story goes and where it ends with the current Gaunt's Ghost stories. This one gives us more information on who exactly they are and how they sort of show this to the others in their close-knit group. But what does this book do? Well, first of all, I think it really does show the dangers of an insurgency force, of, you know, a general populace uprising against the occupationists or the conquerors of said area. It shows the stabilization process of a world. We get looks at how, you know, they're sort of implementing new things into the world, but also how that is so easy to disrupt. There's some really cool things in this. I really enjoyed the look at like the particular type of warfare it shows off. I think it does a really good job at showing it can be really deadly even if you're not on the front lines. But not only that, it does a really good job at showing us a lot about Gaunt himself and the character he wants to be, the person he wants to be. He's not your average commissar. He is a very different sort of commissar. Almost nice, I would say, is maybe a way to put him. He's the commissar you want to have leading your regiment anyway. One of the truly great characters in Warhammer 40k. And so, who would like this book though? I mean, this is obvious. This is for people who've enjoyed Gaunt's Ghosts. It is a really good standalone story though. I don't think you need an awful lot of background knowledge to enjoy this story, which is nice as well. Opens it up to a lot more people. So if you're looking for a fun, you know, shorter story to read or listen to, this is definitely in there. But definitely, if you're a Gaunt's Ghost fan, this adds a lot more depth and a lot more sort of narrative to them. Which I think a lot of the people who've read those stories already know the catalyst and all that of the Gaunt's Ghost stories. This is definitely going to be something enjoyable for you to see as we sort of see where the future of Gaunt's Ghost really lies in the future. And so, in summary, this was fun and intriguing and definitely added a lot to the Gaunt's Ghost series. It wrapped up all the story arcs within it really nicely. None of them were sort of, I guess, left floundering. None were sort of given lack of respect, or all of them were done really nicely, which is awesome. And that's why I like this as well. The fact that everything was wrapped up inside this singular novel means that, you know, someone who doesn't know Gaunt's Ghost can pick this up and read this and enjoy this story. Overall, there was a lot of nice narrative added to the Gaunt story, in particular parts. Especially if you've read this, you will know exactly what I'm talking about. A solid 8 out of 10 for me. This was a really enjoyable. I smashed through this in just over a day listening to it. It was a really enjoyable story I wanted to know the next part about. And so that's the end of the video. We hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. If you'd like to come chat more with me, a number of members of our fine little community here at Sinful Gaming, you can do so by following the link in our video's description to our Discord server. Finally, if you'd like to help support the channel, you can do so either by Patreon or YouTube members, both of which are linked down in the comments below. As a special thank you to those Patreon and YouTube members, we'd like to give you all a shout out. So thank you to our Patreons: Christian Weir, James, Soren, Greenskins Gaming, AJC, Kenny Lyle, Outer and Shot First, Andrew Bowen, Nathan Fee, The Rising 8, Cure Dynamic, Agu, Anthony B, Anton Nilsson, JJ Austrian, Average Wargamer, Domir, Mark Harvey, James Cater, Derek, and Giappy390. And a special thank you as well to Green Roots Gaming, Kenton Yun, Ronya, Lock Lorick, The Johnny84, David Ellsworth, Revenar, Wolfric Nick, Broken Chef, Ariana Edwards, Pink Nico Fire, and Robin Mankiller, our YouTube members. Lastly, a special thanks to Lady Witchfox Art, who does all the amazing artwork you see on the channel. Thank you all so much for watching. Once again, everyone, stay safe, stay well, and most of all, keep fighting that war against the Grey. Ciao for now.